join you guys live in 10 minutes. So just kind of like click over to the live stream, which is probably already currently going live, and just kind of jam out to some of the background music that I got playing. And for those of you who are watching this without the live stream, this is a pre-show for Let's Make a Game Live, Sunday the 25th of August. Yeah, I'm trying not to be too loud because it's really late while I'm getting this video up. But yeah, it's still going to be up on the channel though, so you can actually see the entire thing in a playlist format. So, hello from the past, those from the future. Are all videos really just from the past? Hello and welcome to Let's Make a Game Live. You guys honestly are amazing. Every single one of you who watched the stream last week, thank you so very, very much. And I'm so glad that you guys have been liking it. So, without further ado, let's start just making some game stuff. So, let's see, which one is it? There we go. All right, so if you guys watched the premium stream, you will have known that we created a couple of different art assets. Those art assets are this tree, some tufts of grass, a potion bottle, and a barrel. And all three of these are actually going to, or all four, I can't even count. All four of them are actually going to go into the game right now. Just get them out of the way. So these are actually four different types of interactable objects. You have grass, which is a passive, which we'll see about maybe making it so that the player can step over it. We have the tree, which is true passive, no interaction whatsoever. But we're going to do something cool with the leaves so that the leaves actually move. The potion, which is a full interactable, which will be essentially if the player touches it, they'll heal for now, or later on, maybe as we go further, you'll be able to collect potions and then use them in battle. And then the barrel, which will be a destructible. So really not too much to do to prep this stuff except for save them as PNGs, but we do need to go into Blender, and we're going to delete our cube again. And this time I'm actually just gonna kind of, actually don't need you to scale that high. There we go. We're just gonna create a simple plane, essentially. The reason for this and this small of a size is we're going to actually need this to essentially, in order for the way we're going to move the grass and stuff, we're actually going to need a plane to do it. And more importantly, I completely forgot to do this tab. We're going to need to subdivide it a couple times, and you'll see why. All right. Save. Ooh, we're in the art folder. We are nowhere even close to... There we go. All right, and then this one's going to be moving plane. You see, normally, when you have a plane, it's only capable of moving in its corners. Those vertices are able to kind of move around, and that would actually create a sort of movement effect. Like I can show right here, you can just kind of grab these. What Unreal's going to do is it's going to start to wiggle this stuff around. But because we added extra points, instead of looking sharp like this, it's going to look more like that kind of movement. And that's what we want. So we're going to take this, and of course we're going to export it as an FBX. Hopefully the mic is going to be much louder now. I did some tweaking to make sure that it would be a little bit more sufficient. All right, and then we're going to go in Unreal. Import. And moving plane. Ooh, sounds like it is about to pour again. No smooth grouping, but still. So we should have a plane. And I'm actually going to show you guys really quickly why we want that to move. So we're going to duplicate this. And we're going to use another one of my favorite commands in Unreal. And that is called a simple grass wind. All right, and then we put that in the world position. Now it's going to error out because we don't have these parameters set. We can just plug these in to get rid of the red. And then we'll set them. So it's not doing anything because, well, we haven't set these. We can set this to like, say, 1. Let's set this to like 10. See if that adds some movement. Oh, okay, yep, that added a lot of movement. Let's tone that down a little bit. Even further. Say 2. All right, all right. It's still a bit much. There we go. I mean, we can adjust these. So, like, if we turn the wind intensity down to, like, say, 0.1, you'll notice it's going to be a much slower movement. That's actually pretty good for what we're looking for. So, we've got now a moving material. And if we apply that moving material to a plane, let's just apply it to our red square to show you what it would look like, because this was a normal plane. Second. Oh, there it is. So you see there's not really much going on here because there's not much to move. So let's put our moving plane in, which we should probably make this all double-sided, but still. All right, now you can see it. It's moving. You can see from the edges that it's moving very slowly. That is why we made it like this. So, since we're already working on the grass, let's go ahead and just import it. Now, before we were creating sprites out of these, but we're actually going to turn this one into a material. And the reason we're turning this one into a material is because we want it to apply to that plane, but we want to apply the grass one. And to kind of just cut it out, I believe this is the alpha. Oh, and I need to switch this to translucent. Or actually, is it translucent or masked? It's one of those two. Because you can put, you literally just plug one of those in and, there it is. Yep, I did it right. Okay. So as you can see, that actually like cut our entire texture out of that, which means we can literally just apply this to this and we should have something. Where is it? Which side is it on? There it is. We got some grass. Of course, much like before, we're going to just plug the emissive color directly in so that the colors pop. And to save us some headaches, we are going to make this double-sided. There we go. Now it does look like it's getting some jags at the edge, but we could have masked it to fix that, but for now it will be fine. All right, let's take our thingy again. We're gonna scale her down to like 0.1 maybe. Yeah, that looks about right. In fact, actually it's barely even noticeable. Now have to get like real close to it. Okay. Much like before, let's go in here and we can add our simple grass wind. And what do? We did like 0.1. Okay. Just like that, we should actually have some moving grass. Which we do. In fact, actually, I kind of want to lower that intensity a little bit, I think. But still, there you go. Very cheap, very easy to do. And honestly, like, it's going to save us some time with hand animation and stuff. Because originally I was going to hand animate that, and then I was like, oh, wait a second. I can let Unreal kind of do the work. So Now we've got this grass, and let's actually go ahead and put it in here. We're gonna try to actually fill out this scene really quickly, make it look less flat. That's actually my first goal here. So where's my play button? Seriously, where did my play button go? This isn't good. Where are you? You are definitely missing. Okay. Let's put this back wherever. No, it was like here. Okay. Play button, where did you go? Start extra. I mean, I can always hit play from inside one of these, but that's not. My play button is definitely missing. Viewport. Nope, that's not what I need. Let's just restart that really quickly. There it is. I don't know why it wanted to do it that way. All right, test world. Okay, so now, see, we got grass and it's moving. Now we could, oh, it doesn't actually, the little jags don't show up in game. Okay, cool. Cool. So we can add a couple of these in here just to like fill things out. Or we could have made like, so this is one way you could do it. Or this is the faster way to do it. We can go ahead and make a foliage tool based off of, put this here. It's like that. Rename that to grass. Grass. Full. We then just define this as the tuft of grass. So now in the content browser, it's going to look like this, and we can just drop, boop, just like that. And then, oh, whoops, that's way too many. All right. So let's actually fix that. Let's set the scale to 0.1 and minimum will be 0.01. How does that look? Not bad, not bad. Okay. But more importantly, we need to set max rotation. Actually, I might not be able to use this just because of the rotation. Placement, Z offset, normal alignment, max height. See, in a normal game that would be great because then you have like a bunch of these random, but I kind of want them all to face the camera. I mean, let's see. How does that look? Yeah. With them not facing the camera, it doesn't look right. So get rid of that. We may have to actually manually place them. Cue distance. We are gonna have to like set the cue distance and stuff, but yeah, no, it looks like we aren't actually able to do this, because if we were to, let's just kind of like draw a bunch of them on here. You'll notice that they're going to come out at random angles, and unfortunately, as nice as random angles look in normal 3D games, that's not going to work for this. So we're just going to turn off the foliage tool. We're just going to have to like that's okay though, because we can actually then turn that into a actor, and then we can change up the dynamic on how it works. All right, but so you get the idea. We've got grass, and we can honestly just like, let's get a bunch of it, and then I'm just going to do a trick to make it so that we can just take the whole thing. So just gonna take all of these. Oh. See, we can just kind of like do that and like make it as dense as we want. And so now, even though we don't have as much grass, we can see that, yeah, it's a field of grass. Still actually a little large, to be completely honest. So we'll adjust it. We'll do more with it in a little bit. So let's just get rid of all of it. All right. There. Because we did create this. So I'll show you what we're going to do with that in a little tiny bit. We don't need the bottom world anymore, because I have a whole different way of we're going to do things. All right, so let's fix the backdrop and stuff. I did, if you watch the pre-stream, create well, this. I'm just going to save that as a PNG. Go ahead and import that PNG. Boom. Create material. Much like before, we're going to create a shadeless. I only needed one. So that should look pretty good. It does. All right, cool. Two-sided. And boop. All right, so here we're actually seeing a very specific problem. You see, it's too stretched out. So what we need is a texture coordinate, and we can plug that here, and we can multiply. Ground textures are like this. They need to be like done a couple different times. Let's see. The gradient might cause a problem with that. Yeah, the gradient is definitely causing a problem with that. But the ground texture doesn't look terrible. All right, so I can fix it. Can I fix it? Yeah, not really. All right. I mean, I can, but it's not going to be fun. So we just turn that one off. Oh, wait, did I actually? Oh, I did make the grass its own. Okay. Then yeah, this is actually going to be much easier to fix than I thought it would be. Let's pick a nice dark green color. Boop. 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 There we go. That way it will repeat flawlessly every time. Grass field texture, save over. Yeah, I know. It's not as... And then we're just gonna... Okay. And then for Unreal's purposes, we can just hit re-import. Since we kept the name the same. We just have to do... Oh, wrong one. This one. Re-import. There we go. Oh, that is way too bright. I may have to lower the brightness on that one a little bit. Right? Yeah, it's too bright. Alright. Point is, it's not too hard to fix. Oh, I'm on the paper. Good. Ooh, it actually made these really hard to see. Being said, having them a little bit harder to see is probably not a bad thing because they're sticking out a little too much. So we can do something like that. See how that looks. That looks a bit better. Why is there... Oh, that's just the world grid. Okay. It's like, why is there a grid over it? That looks great, actually. It's not... Like, you can tell that there's texture, and it's not entirely... And as you... It's only as you get close. Okay, that actually looks great. Okay. Yeah, it didn't work out the way I thought it would, but it worked out great. All right. Next, let's go ahead and add our backdrop. It would have been Skywall. All right, now this one's gonna be... oops. Okay. Create material. This one's okay. Oh, it already created a material. Cool. Oh. Okay. You do you, whatever you're doing. Not 100% sure why it would choose to do it that way, but I am not against it. Okay, now this one has a gradient for pretty good reason. So why are you flickering? Oh, there was another one underneath here. That one. Okay. So realistically, we do want that zoomed out a little bit, but that is like real bright. It has like a 3D effect, which is actually kind of cool. All right, let's just roll with it. And we're gonna do something like that. So, let's see, what does that look like? Yeah, a little too dark. Okay, not terrible, but not great. Yeah, Oh, where'd it go? There it goes. All right. How are we going to approach this? Well, yeah, let's just put things together for now and see if we need to approach it differently. Because I have one more asset to add into the game that's going to help us. See, yeah, like this has got like a nice, I think it's because it plugged the normal in. So let's unplug the normal. Yeah, there we go. That toned it down. Right? No, they still came out real blue. They have a nice 3D effect to them, but they're way too close. So you know what we can do? We can do something like this. All right, this is gonna be fun. All right, eraser tool. Where are you? There we go. Sometimes Unreal just kind of takes textures and does whatever it wants with them. This is one of those cases. No, we got us like that little one up there. All right, that doesn't look too bad. All right, let's see. Still like way too dark, I think. I mean, could still lower that. Let's see. What does that look like? It's not bad. And once we add the fields behind it, it should be fine. Let's see. For now, it will be fine. But later on, we'll add a moving clouds texture, and then this should actually be like, we're gonna have to start walling off the playable area, I think, but we'll do that in a second. Let's go ahead and add the last item in, and that is the rolling hills. This is what's helping us kind of like set our scene up. Rolling hills, and this one's going to be a PNG. Now, this one's actually going to be a sprite. Because we don't really need to create anything for it. So we can literally just like put that there and then scale it up. There we go. Just like so. So now there's this whole backdrop back there. So like the sky doesn't kind of just meet the ground, which was the intention of this. It was just to create a thing that would block off here and still look pretty good. Granted, I think I can walk right through it. We're gonna have to create barriers and stuff to prevent the player from doing it. Oh no, you can't. Okay. And then we also still have to fix that whole dilation issue, but we're going to move this out from the backdrop a little bit, like so. So now we have hills. We've got skybox. We've got our character. And we've got some grass. So now we can actually make the game. Let's actually move everything else. Move him out a little bit. With the player start out. There we go. So now, there we go. That actually looks pretty good, other than the fact that you can obviously see where this kind of starts. But we're going to do some wizardry here. Kinda. We'll put something in front of it, like some trees or something in a bit. But as you are aware, this is a matter of just getting things started, and we'll make it look great later. All right. All of the assets have been added except for the barrel, the potion, and the tree. So I guess next, let's go ahead and get the tree. So I actually have the tree in two different parts for a pretty good reason. You see, we're going to use simple grasswind on this part of the tree, but not that part of the tree. So we're going to just create a sprite for this. And we're actually also going to palm actor tree. So we got our tree, which is nothing. And of course, there we go. And of course, that's going to be that tree trunk. Oh. Why do I draw so big? There's a lot of reasons. Just used to doing it at that size, I guess. All right, so we got that. That's going to be our base. And then we need that mesh. Actually, I'll show you the easiest way to do this. Just go ahead and click up that mesh. And just for simplicity's sake, leaves. And then say it's 0.1 too small, yeah. Okay, that's pretty close to what I would have wanted. We're just going to layer that ahead by a slight margin, like so, and then I'm going to create that material. Much like before, we're going to create transparency. Actually, let's see what masked does. No, that doesn't do anything. Oh, because I'm plugged it in the wrong way. There we go. Oh, masked actually looks a little bit better. All right, I'll use masked. That works. And I actually have access to my speculars that way. Cool. We'll do it that way then. Whatever works, works, right? That is not pre-recorded. And also, you did not put a shoe on my head.
That was a while ago.
I know. I'm not putting my shoes on my head. I'm focused, man.
That was a long time ago. It was like half an hour ago.
Hey, I said I was focused. Alright, simple grass win. Point 1. There we go. Now I got moving tree leaves. And we can just go ahead and drop that onto there. Or into there. And now it's much smaller. Now I think 0.5 would make a lot more sense. And we just drop that on there. There you go. Trees with movement. Now I can just go ahead and place the whole thing. And since we made it an actor, we can actually make it interactable if we really wanted to. Let's see how big that is compared to the player. It might actually be too small. Right, so scale number 2. That's a big tree. The shadow might be a bit much. The tree itself looks great. Okay. Well, other than having to get rid of the shadow, which is not really that hard to do, it looks good. So, just go ahead and get rid of the shadow on the tree. There you go. Gonna have to figure out a way to make it dynamically cast a shadow, but that's gonna be fun. Re-import. There we go. That way we can actually kind of like just sink this in a little bit. Like so. That looks great. Other than the fact that the leaves are not low enough. This is always fun. The tweaking. There it is. That's how it's supposed to look. But there we go. You've got a tree. It's still small, but that's at least progress in that front. That tree took so long to draw. There we go. Just create a little bit of a forest over here. We can actually hide a load zone in here if we really wanted to. And then you could use, well, actually, come to think of it, there is a pretty good way that we could shade the ground. So this is working for now, but we could literally just make a what's it called? Oh, there's a couple ways we can do it. We can actually make it like a legit ground texture and use a terrain, just keep it flat, and then add this as a terrain brush, and then add a separate terrain brush that could be dirt. That's how normal games do it. So just kind of like make a little bit of a forest back here. That way the player can obviously tell that there's something back here, but isn't necessarily. Yeah, there you go. Now the edge of that backdrop is not as obvious. Granted, what am I? This goes to the edge. Why is it? It's like that. It looks like there's a gap here. Oh, because that's still the edge of the world. All right. Well, we just gotta stop the camera from going past that point. So, like right there. All right. This is called walling. I can use one of my planes, actually. Alright, and now I'm going to show you guys how to make an invisible material. Transparency. Ready? Opacity. 0. Boom! It's invisible. I actually at one point, I wish I were joking, looked up how to do this, and I wasn't able to get a straight answer. That's the sad part about it. But now there should be a wall that stops the player before they go too far. No. Oh yeah, because it doesn't have collision. What did I use? This one? Complex collision as simple. There you go. There we go. Invisible wall. For the purposes of actually being able to see it while we're working, we're going to turn it into a slightly translucent gray. This is just so that we can actually, interact with it as we build our scene out. There you go. It actually is a very restricted playable area, but at the same time, it will keep the player from walking off the edge of the world. So, and then when the actual game would be finished, you could then just set this to 0. So, oh, that tree had poppin'. Ooh, whoa, wow, that's not good. I clipped through that. You may want to make those cubes just a little. I should not have been able to clip through that, but I did. So I clipped right through it again. I don't know why, unless it's only got collision from one side. That is a possibility. All right, so these trees are actually popping in and out of view, which is kind of weird. But at the same time, now we can't clip through that. Okay, so back down to 0 you go. We could make that dynamic so that it changes only when we want it to. But for now, I think, does the popping thing happen with it being 0? Yes. I do seem to have some pop in when must have overlapped with the little guy here. All right. Okay. Now that that awkwardness is pretty much done. No, we could have just done like a collision box. That's actually probably would avoid that pop in. So let's actually select this. Then we could just use a box. Really, here. Actor. Invis. Wall. Alright. Then we just use a box collision. And we just set that collision to invisible wall. Okay. And then we can literally set that invisible wall actor, which has absolutely nothing on it. And you just make it a wall. Plain and simple. Character can't jump, so it's not like they can jump over it. Let's see if that has that same pop-in issue. There we go. It stops us, and looking at the tree on the left, no popping out issues. Okay, so that's how we do it. And you can always see the invisible wall. In fact, actually, for gameplay purposes, we can even put a debug color on it so that we can see it clearly. That's in here. So what you would do is you'd select the box collision, and then we can it's on visibility. See, it's visible, but it's hidden in game, so we can actually turn that off. And then if you look at it, you'll be able to see the box collision. Like, you can see the lines right there for it. We'll continue to hide that in game. If you wanted to be completely invisible and make your life hard, you could just as easily not. Can turn it completely invisible, which would definitely make your life more difficult. There you go. 2 ways of making invisible walls, one better than the other. All right, let's see. We should have a field. We do. We have grass. We have a sky. We've got clouds. Oh, no, we're still getting pop in and out with our little textures. Don't know why they're queuing so... Like, it's only the trunks of the trees, but they're like queuing really weird. All right, and then are you still working, or did I break you? I may have broken you. Purple cube. Yes, you are what you're supposed to be. And you are inside You know what? You know what I haven't done in a little while? I haven't built it. It's a possibility. Yeah, you can do what you need to do. That it just needs to rebuild its navigation. Yeah, I know. There's no light mass importance, but there's actually no lighting, so let's see. Oh, there we go. Nope, he's moving around now. We just had to rebuild him. All right. So, how are we going to solve a very specific problem with development? We've got a character, and that character can get attacked, and the character can attack. There are a couple ways we can approach this, but one of the biggest issues you're going to face is we're going to have more than just this purple cube in the game. We're actually going to have a lot of different enemies in the game with different blueprints. Every blueprint we create, like, let me just kind of like show it to you on Alfred's character. If we were to create simple damage codes, so like we'll do function 2M10. This is actually going to be an RPG. Just saw your comment over there. All right, so we're gonna create a function. So custom event, and that one's actually going to be called add attack. Yeah, let's just put attack. I'm gonna put 2 T's. All right, well, we're still gonna delete it anyway, and this one's going to be apply damage, the damaged actor. So this is what I'm saying, where it's actually going to get very difficult if we were to keep all of the attacks on Alfred itself, because we need to tell Unreal what actor is being damaged, and we could create some sort of overlapping, but we did this whole spawning thing so that the monster would spawn in a different spot. Instead of doing everything on Alfred, we're actually going to create something different. We are going to create another character. I want to say it's a character. No, it's going to be a pawn because we don't want it to move. And that one's actually going to be called Battle Box. What is the battle box? Well, the battle box is going to be where all of our controls are actually going to take place. So we're actually going to add a box collision. And we are going to scale this up. We're actually going to detach this for a second. We're going to make this a rectangle. Much like there we go. That looks pretty good. Much like how we created the camera that could get possessed, we're going to actually, oops, don't attach yourself there. Return back to normal. Yep. So we are going to create a new, essentially controllable character. And this character is specifically going to be looking for the entities that are going to spawn within it. So let's actually kind of place it so that, oh, I kind of like messed this up a little bit. I need to take an exact copy of everything we've got here. Minus the player start. Where's the player start? Oh, there it is. Minus that. The nav mesh. We can get rid of the invisible walls and the purple cube. So just the backdrop. We're going to drop that below the level. We're going to move it around a little bit too so that it's not. And that's where we're going to place our battle box. So essentially, this is where we're going to create the battle box to communicate to the rest of the meshes, not meshes, the sprites. So battle box, drop that in. Oh, see, battle box is like cutting into the ground. We can then adjust it upward so that we have, there we go. Look at that. It's got a beautiful backdrop going for it. So in here, we're going to need to create, I don't know if we can use target points, can we? No. All right, but battle box self is going to need to get a tag. And that tag is going to be calm. We kind of want this tag present because what we need to do is we need to make sure that the characters are casting to the correct thing. All right, and then so we're actually going to add another box. This box collision right here will be, we're going to rename that to baddie side, and then we're going to create another box. Again, we don't really, we want everything to be attached to the correct side, and this is hero. So as you can imagine, from what we're doing, we now have a hero and a bad guy. So custom event battle start. All right, and then from here it's going to spawn. Actually, yeah, we're going to spawn actor from class. Where is it located? Bad guy side. Get world location. Boom. So, and what actor are we getting? Well, here's where things are going to get real complicated. So we could just, for testing purposes, select our slime, or what did I call him? Cube? Purple cube battle mode. We could just select that, and that would actually allow us to test it out. But to do that, we first need player character. Here we go. Battle start. We're actually going to change this up so that we no longer use that battle cam. What we're going to do is we're going to possess. I can never remember how to. I want to take control. Yeah, it's POSS. There we go. Pawn. Possess. And then target. Alright, so we want this. And then we want... because we need to take control of the battle box. What would be the best way to find it? This is actually a good... I knew this part was going to be difficult, which is why I didn't want to do it the day before. Alright. It's not like the battle box overlaps with the player in any way. Oh. Unless the player touches it, which is like kind of the problem. Oh, actually... yeah. So currently speaking, the slime tells the character that they're in a battle. The battle is set, and that's what does the code right there. Now we got to teleport the character, which we can do from here. There we go. All right. So we can teleport, not battle box. God, we gotta define the main character. So to do that, this is the stuff you go through to actually like make things move sometimes. All right. So right around player start, we need to create a box trigger. Right on top of it. Cool. Now on that box trigger, now we want to create an event for box trigger. On begin actor, we're gonna do again if actor has tag player is true, we're going to then promote to variable. That variable is player. So with that, we can set the player, and because of that, we can then say the target is the player, and the location is actually going to be the battle box. So much. There we go. We select the battle box. Again. I think this time we can just do get location. But let's get world location. Oh, actually we could just do get world location battle box. Oh wait, actually, if I can call directly, ooh, that actually helps us a lot. Hero. See, I didn't know I could do that. That would actually do a lot for us because now we can do what I want to do it as a custom event. Could do it as a custom event. Let's actually just could just test it, but what I would want to do, yeah, custom event, and that custom event is in battle. All right, and then essentially if player character, boom, is in battle is true, boom. So that code should work. Let's go ahead and open her up, get into a battle, see what happens. Come on, Slimer. Come on, get. There we go. Well, I can't tell if I am above or below. We need to make something behind the battle box to tell the difference. Oops. Plane. Yeah, that's. My red tester, just to see if I actually moved, because realistically I just went to the exact same place. There we go. So now this happens. Oh wait, nope, it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen because this custom event will never get called unless we put it on the event tick. In battle. And because we need to define the player, we're going to do a delay of 0.1. At begin play, it should define the player anyway, but still. So the player has been defined. Cool. See what happens. Hey, it teleported me to the right spot. Okay. All right. Progress is being made. Okay, so we're teleported to the right spot. Let's create the battle menu. Well, actually, the battle menu should have still popped up. Oh, wait, no, it shouldn't have because it wasn't plugged in. Realistically, though, we're going to have to transfer the battle menu over. Did I really delete it? I deleted it. Whoops. Oh, well. Well, it's not too hard to recreate. We're going to actually have to put it on the other thing because we're going to obtain possession of that thing. So actually the first point that I think I'm going to take a short break. So let's take one. All right, we're back. Okay, so next part of this. Oh man, this is all a lot of fun. All right, so right now I'm actually going to show you something that we're going to have to fix. I need to see if I can, in the sprite settings, turn that off. You'll notice that the character's just kind of like warping constantly. This is because the character, the code that we wrote for here, let's actually kind of like get rid of some of this stuff. The code that we wrote is there we go. All right, let's kind of get to what we need. It's firing all the time. Yes, It's firing. Oh, actually, this is also firing way too often. 2 months. No, we don't want to do once here. Delaying the tick isn't a bad thing. It's actually going to prevent us from overtaking, which... is in battle, if true. Teleport. And this is what we want to put a do once on. And then the reset condition will be... And this actually we want to do a do once as well. This one's not going to reset. The reset will be actually the false condition, which is player is no longer in battle. So we literally just have to plug this into that, actually. Boom. So now the player should stop warping indefinitely when the bad slime attacks it. There we go. So now we can actually put the controls for the character on there, but more importantly, so that the character doesn't have to fall, we're going to lower this a little bit. See how that works. Cool. Character lands exactly how he's supposed to. And that is that. Now, this is going to be the fun part. We need to go into our purple death cube. Which one? This one. And no longer are we going to destroy it at that point. We're going to no longer have to spawn. Alright. So it's still casting, creating that. Okay, cool. And what are we gonna I mean, we could do that. Yeah, let's do that. Okay. So, player character, since it was the one who gets overlapped with battle start, set battle start, and then also do I want to do it there? Yes, I want to set. I want it to set itself. So cast battle start. All right, that does that. The player doesn't overlap with it though. Here, let's create a variable on the player. Variable. That variable. Would it be considered an object reference? Right? Is that what that is? No. What is this? This is an actor. Okay. There we go. Actor. There we are. And this one's going to be bad guy. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So bad guy will be purple cube. And it's going to set bad guy. And bad guy is actually going to be self. That should allow the game to, essentially the player character, to know what's the bad guy. And then from there, I knew this was going to get complicated. There's the teleport code for the main character. We're also going to teleport. And then as main character, bad guy. This might or might not work. And we're going to set that to what do we call it? Baddie side. Alright. Let's see if that errors out. It shouldn't error out, but I probably won't be able to see them because it's gonna... Yeah, it's too far out of the camera view. I don't even know if I'd be able to see it with this. Alright. Hopefully that works, and if it doesn't, we'll find out later. Alright. Now that I know people are actually commenting, I'm actively checking to make sure that I'm not neglecting you guys. Sorry to anyone who's commented already. I'm just really new at the whole live streaming thing. Alright. So, now hopefully both of our characters are appearing on the screen. So here, on hero side, on begin overlap, we'll just scroll down. Really doesn't want to. Oh, here we go. On begin overlap. All right. Again, our code is here. Let's just kind of stretch this out over this because it's going to be a bit of coding for now. So condition other actor has tag. This is actually really just redundancy. You'll find when programming that it's just better to have this in here. It doesn't add any overhead, but it will save you essentially. If actor has tag player is true, we can now cast the player. Main player character. We can now cast effectively to the player character. And from here, we can use a piece of code. We can create an event. No, let's actually create another variable. And we're going to call it. We're just going to do that. And now it can set itself it's not going to show up because it didn't compile. There we go. I called it battle box, right? I'm missing an E, or no, a T. There we go. Set battle box as self. Cool. And now, once that is set, we can go to the player character and elf battle box. Can I do hashtag? No? Dang it. Alright, if battle box can't say is true. Has value? No. Here. Possess. Battle box. No? Battle box? Uh-oh. This isn't good. Well, I honestly thought that would work. But yeah, let me try to type in possess from here. No. Doesn't work. Okay. Possessed. Unpossessed. I mean, this is defining an actor. For sure. Well, I can still kind of go from here because we still have the two cameras. So what I could do is just use the battle box as communication between all of them, which I've defined it well enough that I probably could. So, plans change. All right. I'm going to need all of that code that I used and lost. All right. Battle start. What is it? Battle cam? Why is everything grayed out? Oh, because simulation is on. Is that why I couldn't? No? Alright, just can't do it. Alright. Okay. So, battle cam. Activate. Target battle cam. And then deactivate camera. That was the code we used, right? I think it was the code we used. Let's see. Should shift the camera over to the side, and Alfred should be like at the edge of the. Yeah. All right. Let's move this little guy closer then. Yeah, let's move him pretty much on top to see if this is working. Because if it's not working, we might have a problem. No, it is working. Okay, cool. Well, that piece of code was brilliant then. I've never done that before, so yeah. Distance is not very far. So we may want to pull the battle cam out a little bit more, I think, because the distance is just not, because yeah, that's really close together. Granted, I like the size of everything, so I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. All right. We'll just do that. All right. So we just got to shrink the battle box a little bit to reflect its actual size then. Okay. So, oh yeah, if you really do look at that, that is a lot closer. Whoopsies. Okay. So, what we could do then, probably, is we probably can cast to battle box, and we can put this. Yes, we can. Okay, so I'm in the wrong blueprint. All right, so attack monster. We can cast to battle box. Cool. And that, I mean, realistically though, we could just do that. Say it does 10 damage. I may have made this more complicated than it needed to be. And then, is it life? Yes. Initial lifespan, 10. I think that's what you do. And then we just... Well, actually, let's make sure it just doesn't die. I think that's what you do. Give it 10 seconds. Nope, I killed it. All right. Where is it? It's not. Is it hell? Can be damaged. Yes. God, it's been a very long while. Let's kind of just read through what we got on here. We got... Oh, there's Cutis right there. Can be damaged. Yes. Initial lifespan. Well, we can always do it like this. This is one way. We can go ahead and create one called life. We can make that a float or an integer. Integer would be better just because integers are whole numbers. And we can set the default value to 10. We're going to make it so that it dies in one hit just to make sure the code's working. And we're going to create a little bit of code that says if life equals 0, or actually, let's do less than or equal to 0. And the condition is true, destroy actor. And how do we know if this is going to happen? Well, we're just going to create a custom event. Event is alive. And we plug that into event tick. Where's event tick? Where did event? Oh, there it is. Go ahead and just boot. Realistically, we could have created a different event for that. Well, we'll clean it up. All right. So now, if it's alive, that will happen. Event damage set life to the damage minus. Oh, I have to make it a float. Change variable. Come on. There we go. Yes. And then life, just make sure that that's still 10. Yep. So this minus life equals what new life is. So essentially, the character should pretty much be alive and should not just die on us unless damage is applied to it, which we can go ahead and get in there. And once in here, we need to go over to the player character, create HUD, create widget, HUD, set HUD. No. God, I barely remember HUDs, and I did it last week. Is it show? No, add to viewport. Viewport. Boom. And then show mouse cursor. Now, here's the thing. Realistically, in this game, we probably don't have to actually, do that bit of code. Oh. Player controller? Like, to be completely honest, we could probably just have it set so that it shows the mouse cursor at all times, just because this style of game would have that showing. There we go. So we got fight, we got run. All right. So now we got to go to attack monster. Yeah. All right. Now we got to go to the HUD. And what we're going to do is we're going to call an event for that. So which button is which? Let's actually name these buttons really quickly. Attack. Run. Okay. Cast a player character. Yup. Event. Attack monster. Boom. So now officially, we should be able to kill it. If I'm not mistaken, the code should be fight, and it's not doing anything. Fuck. You won't die. Okay. So what's breaking here? Because I'm casting to the battle box, not the bad guy. My bad. Let's try it again. This is how I program, honestly. Yeah! I killed it! Now, what? Now we gotta create a victory thingy. Oh, God. Well, we definitely succeeded in something here. So we got that going for us. And it's only been about 2 hours. So we're approaching, what would be the word? I don't know. So essentially what we've got is we've got an actor that gets placed in the world that gives the world the information that it needs to teleport the player to it. But what we now need is going to be interesting. You see, we need to make it so that the game knows where the player teleported from so that they can resume that location. So, we're going to create a custom event. And this one's going to be top side location. And if I'm gonna actually have to cast that. Player character. Cast the player character. All right. If is in battle. Nope, don't set it. Is false. We want it to only trigger when it's false. We are then going to create a target point. I'm going to go to the up world. We have the up world and the down world. Yeah, since the camera doesn't move, we can do stuff like this. All right, and we're just going to kind of like throw it somewhere. It doesn't have to actually have a location right now. Like where it is isn't really important. So if it is false, set world location. We're going to create a reference to target point. Set world location. And we're going to get world No, you don't want to get the location of the player? Get actor location. Boom. So essentially, what should be happening is it should set this target point to wherever that is. All right. So on purple cube, at end of life, so if it's alive, if true, oh, well, is alive, no, then true. All right, we're going to make player. Going to, of course, use that little tag that says player. And then we need to put a delay of a millisecond on this. There's a reason for this. Essentially, we don't want it to destroy itself while it's trying to cast the main character, or else the code won't come through. And that's going to be custom event battle end. And we're going to create a variable. And that's going to be a buoy. Buoy, buoy, buoy. What? Oh, it's... Ah. There. Question mark. Then we have custom event. Let's change it to battle over. Set it to true. And then put, or actually, here, let's just, set is in battle to false. And we can just play off the code right there. Let's variables equal less work. All right, so test world is in battle. If false, reset this, but also we're going to clean this up a little bit. I'm gonna move all of this up and out of the way. These are our two teleports for the battle. But if it's false, teleport teleport. Nope, we're not doing the target point. Player. And we're going to then use our target point. Get world location. And boom. So now, if the player is no longer in battle, what is going on? Okay. Ah, yes. Do we want to put a do once on a do one? Yeah, no, we can do that. We could then that's such a weird chain, but it would work. You can go do once. No. Do once. Start closed. And the reset would be that. It's not going to be clean looking, but that should work. So now the character should not be playing off. Get into a battle. Run. And we're back. Cool. All right, that worked. We can now enter and we can exit battle. So purple cube is casting to the player before it gets destroyed. And then as the character, it is doing battle over. And then it destroys itself. But all right, So now we should have a very much functioning battle system. And we can start moving on to the animations, which is the second part of the stream. So, fight you. You should die. And there we go. And then also, player character. We should... That button. Boop. Okay. So... and and another piece of code that we should just copy pasta. And then we just, you know, we're just gonna let's just boom, boom. So now our character should be able to attack any enemy, which it looks like it can, does the damage, and after the battle's over, there. So what we need to add to actually spruce things up in this RPG is going to be things like more menus and all that stuff. But first, let's actually start to animate the character and make things look awesome. But before we do that, I am going to kind of prepare a little bit. So, yeah. Again, thank you everyone who's been watching up to this point. I'm honestly impressed we've gotten this far. So far. We're going to add in a couple of different things, but I'm going to end up having to switch to Photoshop over here. And we're going to edit Alfred a little bit. We're going to change his model ever so slightly so that we can animate him better. And then we're going to add in a pre-battle attack animation and then an attack animation inside the battle. And then maybe we'll get into some crazy HUD stuff because we're just moving along. So yeah, let me kind of prepare for this. You guys just kind of enjoy, get something to drink, maybe even a coffee. You know what? Coffee sounds great. Let me make a coffee. That's much brighter now that I have it in the backlight. Alright, let's turn down the music a little bit. Okay, so where are we right now? Well, we're actually a lot further than I really thought I was gonna get at this point. We have a combat system that is working. And because it's working, well, yeah, we need to start to spruce it up a little bit. We need to make it look nicer. Excuse me. Hiccups. So what are we gonna do? Well, we're gonna need to make Alfred more capable of being animated than he currently is. So let's just go ahead and go here. So right now, I can actually show you on the character. I think, did we? No, we did not leave the sword detached. Yeah, that was a mistake. Okay. Is there actually an Alfred? Here he is. Nope. Okay. So, mistakes were made. Alright. We gotta fix him anyway, but here's what's wrong with Alfred right now. If we were to try to move his arm, I'm gonna have to. What am I rolling over? Oh, the same cable that I ran over several times. If we were to move Alfred's arm, there are a couple ways we can do it. We can do a puppet warp, which would allow us to layer, which would allow us to move Alfred around in a way that would look somewhat normal. I'll show you what it looks like. So if I were to move that, you'll see, oh, okay, so yeah, it moves around quite well, but it does things like that, where it goes behind, which is not really what we want it to do. But we can end up using Puppet Warp to actually make everything look good. So we're actually going to merge everything down, and we are going to cut Alfred up. This is gonna be fun. Yeah, that's appropriate. We're going to have to separate Alfred into multiple layers. So the chest and waist definitely can be on its own layer. Just gonna like that. And then we're going to add to Alfred, we're going to add some ways to hide his seams, essentially. Because he's going to have a couple. And then when we actually make the real characters for the game, we'll use the exact same methods I'm detailing here to make it. So first things first, we need to cut Alfred out of himself. So subtract, make sure that the sword's not part of it. This might be easier to... So we really just want the chest, the waist, none of the arms and legs. Maybe just the first leg? Yeah, this leg. So let's go ahead and go into this, and let's start to remove what we don't need. So that we definitely don't need. You can just kind of like do this slowly. You don't have to rush anything. So it looks like we're actually going to have to erase from here, which is going to be fun. So we just use that, I think. Yeah, that will do it. And we just want to just move slow. So I'm actually thinking I'm going to put on some headphones and listen to the same music you guys have been listening to for the last 2 hours. And yeah, we're just going to jam out. Let me just go full on full screen with this. All right, I'm going to cut in here now and then kind of explain what we've done. So, what we've done is we've added armor to his joint points, which will make animating him a little bit easier. He's also been separated into several different layers. And if you didn't notice, we also redid the sword. Because the sword was actually pretty stuck behind him. So, the only other detail we can really do is like make it so that his eyes are on a separate layer so that he blinks. But because this is really just our test character and we're probably only going to be with Alfred for another 2 or 3 episodes of this, realistically, it's probably better that we leave it where it is now. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to create some animations. We're going to plug that in, and then that will be the end of this for the day. But before we do that, because we've been going on for almost 3 hours now, I do want to kind of talk about where we're headed with this game, because I've been thinking about how we're going to do everything, and to be completely honest, like it should be about time that I should kind of start talking about the class system and everything, since we've got combat working. And then also I do want to address something really quickly. So the battle box creates a sense of, oh, you're not supposed to still be playing. The battle box, right? This almost seems completely redundant at this point because we don't ended up not actually switching to it. But there is a big benefit to the battle box that isn't exactly like, what would be the word? It's not as obvious. One of the benefits to that battle box is actually that every time we place it, there's going to be a defined enemy placement area and a defined player placement area. Meaning any changes we can make to the battle box, and it will change across all the maps. The other thing is we can actually viewport into where everything is. Like, what does the backdrop look like for this battle? Well, we delete this red cube and it's a beautiful forest. So essentially, the battle box, although slightly redundant and you wouldn't necessarily need to make one, ends up actually having more value to it. It has a lot of convenience factor to it, I should say. So I just wanted to address that because it's something that I even thought about while on break. But Alfred is now broken into multiple pieces, and then we've got his armor pieces that are overlaying on the pieces that should animate. So we're going to create him some animation, and really quickly though, let's say a 2000 by 2000. Let's kind of go over how the game's going to play, because I really haven't talked about that much, other than the fact that we've got an RPG. So you guys voted for a satirical RPG, and yeah, it's pretty awesome. I've always wanted to make a game like this. So the satire comes in the writing, and I'm still figuring that all out, but I think part of it is going to be that your character, depending on how you play it, might be very well aware that they're a video game character. But we'll figure out the writing on a different episode. Today, we're going to talk about the class system, because I've pretty much figured it out. So Alfred actually is representative of what I would consider our hero class. Let me just kind of like move you guys over with me. So Alfred would be a hero, or a fighter would be the base class. I'm thinking how it's going to work. Come on. Is I'm trying to think of how to draw this. This would be a pretty good way to draw it. Our class system is God, it's so wonky, but it will work for now. Our class system essentially
black?
Will sort of appear on a plane, probably without these lines on it, of course. But our class system will be, you know, our fighter, our mage, and our rogue. And then every class will branch from those classes. So, like, a fighter could become a knight, or maybe a barbarian. We're just gonna do that. A mage could branch into light magic and dark magic. And our rogue could decide to be a ranger and focus on range attacks, or go into a thief. I don't know how to spell. I actually drew a blank there. But point is, our classes will branch from there. But then I was like, but what about classes that are like combinations? Like if you were to take a knight and a light mage, you would get a paladin. So how it's going to work is you're actually going to have multiple layers of skill tree. You're going to have your base ones, which are the ones on the top layer. And I'm thinking with an animation where it like all swirls together, you would then have like a secondary layer that has things like your paladins or God, I had so many planned out. I'm gonna have to create a text document with that one. Maybe that will be in the pre-show next week. But essentially, the class system is going to have you switching classes frequently, and I'm thinking all of the classes will be in like a giant. How am I gonna draw this? That's not right, but I am too tired at this point. Essentially, you get a giant guild, and that's in your main city, and all of your classes are inside that giant guild hall. That obviously doesn't look like this, but yeah. Essentially, the idea would be that the player could start as a fighter and work their way around. I'm thinking the player will have a choice at the beginning of the game between those three classes. And they would be able to choose one that they are good at. And then they could pick another one that they're not, which would by default make the one that they didn't choose a good secondary. So essentially, the player would be capable of learning things from their secondary or second best easier than they would for their third. This kind of should work to most people's advantage, like, because a lot of people like to role play in these types of RPGs. And so if we have a character who started out as a fighter and doesn't necessarily dislike magic, but is on the lawful good side, then they wouldn't necessarily be a rogue. So they would be able to get into something like a paladin much easier than whatever a barbarian mixed with like dark magic would be. That, I don't know what to call it, but I know what it would look like. And that's going to be fun to make. I digress. That is currently the plan for this RPG, and all of these are just scribbles, but at this point, we've been going for what? 3 hours. So let's get into animating Alfred over here. So we're gonna save Alfred, which we already have, and then we're gonna save as Alfred Idol. Okay. So let's get into this. So what we need to do is we need to articulate the points in what would be the end of the idle animation. And I'm actually going to take the sword out of it because we're going to make the sword separate. Do I want to do that now or later? Now let's leave the sword in for now. Since Alfred's not going to be switching swords, we're going to probably make our final versions of our characters first, and then, or a more final version of our characters first, and then we'll use, have the weapon switching. So, Alfred needs the idol. So to do that, I would suggest taking this. Just gonna do a little bit of a rotation here. Same over here. Ugh. Layers. That back to that. Move that out. And that. We'll take the head, bob the head a little bit just to make it look like he's breathing or something. And then we can go ahead and let's open up Alfred. So did I just call it Alfred Idol? Yeah. Alfred Idol. All right. So let's actually go ahead and take a look at the Alfred Idol. Okay. There we go. So idle 1, idle 2. Wow, actually, due to how little movement we needed to do there, I was actually fully prepared to actually make that more difficult. But yeah, we can actually just work with that. So let's just jump into Unreal now. All right, and so now we got those. We're gonna create sprites, and then we're going to create a flip book. Oops, no. Wait, did I actually do it? No, because it's got just one of the sprites. All right. Boop. Hey. Yeah, Alfred Idol 2. And you can see that's going way too fast. So let's slow that down to like... There we go. So now we got a short, but usable idle animation. And let's go ahead and go into the actual Alfred. Oh. There we go. And we can actually, quite literally, just add that flip book. And we can just call it idle. And then in that viewport, we just gotta add the one that actually was done. There we go. So, and then much like before, 0.1, get them on the size. But now we need to actually set this one to no longer visible. And we got to go into our Alfred animation spaghetti. And we just need to replace Alfred. Yeah, let's find all references to this. Can I just replace it? Find references. Here we go. So let's go ahead and put boom. Then we can delete that. If I'm connected to the right places, yeah. Look again, this one's connected to all of these. This one's turning off the visibility for all of them. So again, we are replacing the existing one. And deleting. So essentially, we should be able to delete the 2 times that we called it. And idle should be playing. Wait. False. That should be setting that to visible. Why am I not seeing you? I can see that just fine. Just to test it, that plays the idle. All right, so something here is telling the idle to disappear when it shouldn't be. And that would be this. There we go. So now, there we go. So there's his idle. And then we just got to mirror them, and then we got all the mirrors. Which, there we go. That's idling. Oh man, this is going to take so long to do the whole thing. All right. So we're actually going to close this and this, and we're just going to open up the PNGs. And we're going to mirror them. To M. All right. Yeah, that works actually really well. All right. Much like before, let's just go ahead and add that all in. Much like before. There we go. And then, much like before, we can literally just add that in. Okay. Now all we really need to do is add a walk and a repetition. Really seems that like my limit is a 4-hour stream before I start to like really get tired. All right, let's see about creating a walk animation. There we go. All right, how would we do this? Well, let's go ahead. Remember what I said, puppet warp. Let's keep the torso as straight as possible for now. Create ourselves a knee and a leg. So, all right. So to walk. There we go. Just it's so bad. All right. Do something like that. Don't worry. We're gonna adjust the armor pieces so that like it doesn't look as awkward. That's why I made the armor pieces. All right, let's select this one. Where the heck did it go? What are you doing? Maybe we could just do that. That does work. It's gonna be so much fun to actually like tweak. Yeah, that looks dumb. All right. Okay. Let's just try to do some simple transform stuff. Okay. We're not looking at something too terrible this time. There you go, Alfred. That looks okay, okay. Now we're not going to be able to do just 2 frames of this, but I'm going to show you what we're going to do. There's still some jank right there in the knee. Remember how I said that the whole reason we made these knee pads was because I knew there'd be jank in the knee? Boom. No more jank in the knee. I would say that looks like a walk-ish. That looks like a walk. All right, we're gonna call this Alfred Walk. Oh. All right. Now, we are going to save a PNG for Alfred Walk. We're going to open back up Alfred Walk. Okay. And we're going to throw the PNG. On top of here. We're going to make that the top layer. We are going to turn its opacity down. The reason for this is as we animate the rest of Alfred, we're going to want to refer back to those animations to see what we've changed, and once we actually start doing the in-between animations, that it will help us essentially smooth out the animations, because we'll be able to put all of the PNGs in here that are related, and we'll be able to see the animation on different layers, and we'll be able to essentially kind of like alter it, if you will. So what we're doing right now is we're again creating the key frames, the frames of the animation that will make the character move effectively. And then we're gonna do the in-between. Normally with something like Blender, you can actually give it the keyframes and then it tells the software what the in-betweens are. Just keep this from moving. Pin, 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 pin. Then there. Again, what we're doing is we're covering up the awkwardness. We're probably going to use the same sort of skeletal style that we used for Alfred on the characters. Just because it will make it easier for us in the long run. So, and let's just, a little bit of head bob. Alfred Walk 2. So now if we actually turn the visibility on, for that we can see the two frames side by side, which is what we want. Now we could put that together, and I'll show you what that's going to look like and why we aren't going to do that. Alfred. Oop. I left the... I mean, it looks like he's walking, sort of. But you'll notice there's not really much between. There's no in-between frames. And so what we need to do is we actually need to fully animate. Now, the question I'm having is, do we continue with Alfred? Or since Alfred's sort of proven his worth and use, do we start animating using real characters? Because let's be completely honest, at this point, the bones are done. This game is ready to essentially start getting developed. Like, at this point, what we have is we have a working RPG. And we have a working character. So do we go ahead and start making our real character? I can actually show you. So how would we add the locomotion in is probably a good question you've got. So let's actually just go ahead and go into the main character. All right, player character. Okay. And this is kind of a mess right now, and I really would want to clean this up. But essentially, let's just put it in here for now. If get velocity get velocity, and then if velocity is greater than no, I don't want to do that. It's greater than 0, or if y is greater than 0, so I'm going to put print string here just for testing purposes. Should not say hello. And oh, look, movement. Hello. So interesting that the code actually seems to work for that. All right. And so then we could literally just add in flip book, walk, much like before. We just set it not visible. And set visibility, paper flip book to visible, set visibility to the rest. Let's just do idle because I think we're done with Alfred. I think it's time for us to actually start working on the other things. Oh, look at that. So simple. All right. And then, of course, anything that sets him invisible will just... Yeah. Point is, Alfred, I would say, is done. I think we're done with Alfred. I think we're actually at a pretty decent stopping point for the afternoon. 3.5 hours. Yeah, it was, we've been productive. We've got a battle system, and I think next week for the pre-show, I'm going to start working on characters and animations, I should say, because we are going to need a lot, and it's going to take a very, very long time. I mean, it took me an hour to draw a tree. Imagine how long it's going to take me to draw a character. So I will let you guys know when the next stream is happening. But thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for watching. I really do appreciate everyone who watches this content because I personally really like making it. I just don't want to bore you guys to death with like a 4-hour long video of me just drawing a shoulder. So my hair's a mess today. Holy cow. Again, thank you guys so much. Yeah. Wolfie out.